Sir. Welcome to 2020. And as we dive into your reading, we're going to draw one major arcana card from the deck that's going to summarize your year on a bigger scale. The major arcana cards play a bigger importance in tarot instead of representing, you know, um, an idea or something a little more minor, like the minor arcana. The major stuff is bigger stuff, so really big picture focus. Like, for instance, um, your guys' card came up for me a lot in 2018 because that was the year I was finally ready to move across the country to California, and I just kept seeing the chariot again and again and again. And so I knew big things were coming along the road ahead. So we kind of wanted to draw one card from the major arcana to give you guys some indication as what to expect as we enter the new decade and what 2020 can overall be for you. So I already went ahead and drew the card. Um, what I have here is death. It's not that scary. Death is a very misunderstood card, as is Scorpio, the sign it's most linked to. You guys will probably have seen this before. I mean, everybody gets the death card a few times, especially when they're going through deep transformation. That's the biggest message for this card is that, you know, there comes a point in our lives every few years or so that we really are challenged to push through our comfort zone, to push through what we thought was working, or what we our struggles are. It's just to go past that. It's to really do the hard stuff, and to just really show up for the day, like fully ready and fully present, um, in order to get you to a more solid foundation, a more solid ground. So when it comes to death, obviously we're going to see some things drift away, and we have a big conjunction happening very soon in January where Saturn and Pluto are going to be very close to each other. And so in astrology, that's called a conjunction, and that they kind of share the same. They influence one another when the planets are that close to each other. And so when we think about that, Scorpio is the sign of death. It represents death and transformation. And so that's the one you really want to look at when you look at the death card. But being so close to Saturn, it's really going to tie into structure, achievements, government, things like that. What is the status quo, or what we're all kind of known for having to live our lives and having to navigate our lives through. It's kind of the hands of every day, that the hourglass. And so Scorpio being so close could really do some damage to that and really shake up what the system is and maybe transform it for the better. And so you guys are already maybe sensing that, Cancer being so intuitive, and also a water sign like Scorpio. You guys do a lot of your transformation, whether I think you realize it or not. I know you have a tendency to really hold on to the past and hold it close like a blanket to keep you warm. But it looks like 2020, it's all new, baby. So there's really going to be a lot of times in 2020 where you are going to be pushed out of that blanket. Somebody's almost going to snatch it from you, the universe maybe at large. And it's really going to challenge you to come out of your shell. Cancer represented by the crab, you always have this hard facade. And so it keeps you safe, but it also keeps you in your comfort zone. You don't really, not that you can't be challenged, but you choose to kind of like learn away and just stick with it again and again. You don't really push past something that you've known. When you look at your mom and your family, it's like when you go back to them, it's always the same. It doesn't seem like anyone's ever really evolving, or it doesn't seem like home really ever changes. It kind of always gives you that same feeling as you age and go, throughout life. At least that's how it is for me. I can always expect pretty much the same thing from my family. And so that's kind of like the personification of cancer, and that it ages, but not in a way of big transformation. And so this will be something that is going to be very scary for some of you. Some of you that are really, really kind of like comfort fiends that really don't like to do a lot out of the norm, and aren't really pushing for change. So there's going to be a lot of pressure. It's going to feel like a kind of a pressure cooker kind of a year for you when you think about death and how we look at the sign of Scorpio and how it transforms so much. It goes from kind of almost knowing nothing about something to being an expert in it, and kind of a great role that's maybe a little uh, probably not taken so seriously, but it's a great example of a Scorpio, is Anne Hathaway in The Devil Wears Prada. She is a Scorpio sun sign, and how she goes from not knowing anything really about the world of fashion, which is obvious in her appearance, and that she comes from a world of journalism, and she transforms throughout the course of the film, and she, by towards the end of it, has to decide to leave fashion and everything that she's come to learn and like about it, because she gets to a place to where she fits in very well. She knows the world, and she is just killing it, in scene to scene, and she's just on her shit. So she really has that transformation in the film where she is so oblivious to that world, and then by the end of it, she knows, I think, a lot more than the average in that industry, and she wears it very well, and she just gets so good at her job. And so that's what you guys can expect. And it's so being introduced to something that maybe you haven't thought of before, maybe you really don't know much about, but there's going to be an opportunity for you to really start and go down a new path, a new direction. We see the beacon of light in between the towers in the back. That is a really big part of the Pisces moon card. And you guys, obviously, being the sign most closely related to the moon, shows that you wear emotion very close to you. I think that's why Cancer gets stereotyped so much about being moody or emotional. It because it literally does affect you guys more, drastically. I mean, that's your home kind of planet or entity, is the moon. So it's ever changing, but it's always in cycles. So it doesn't really ever go out of bounds out of those cycles. It's probably still predictable. It's just like, which phase are we on, kind of a thing. So if you look at it that way, but the new decade really has other plans for you guys. 10, 13. So number 4. So maybe even, look at the month of April, could be a big time. When we look at numerology, we always add up the numbers. So this card, being card 13, adds 1 plus 3 is 4. So April could be a really big time for you guys. That's also the time when you are in the 10th house, and that's really your career house. So if you guys are really feeling like that job itch, that transformation, that could be where it's hitting. And funnily enough, I mean, that's what Saturn represents. And remember, I was talking about that Saturn Pluto conjunction. So that's going to be a big transit for you guys. One that's going to take its time, because those are very slow moving planets. So their impact isn't as quick as, say, like a Mercury transit, or Venus. Those that are much quicker to change signs. These are very slow moving, bigger impacting entities that don't affect the individual as much as the world at large. Um, but it looks like you guys are really going to be front row and center for this one. So don't get scared. Death is really necessary in a time of transformation. We're being pushed to let go of things that really burden us, that really hold us back. And we all have those things in our lives, and we all go through times of transformation and times of stagnancy where there's not a lot of change. So if you look at it that way, it will calm back down once it all revs up, but it would really behoove you to give it its biggest moment to make that impact that it can in your life. Because when we have these big times of transformation, it's obligatory to seize the day, and to seize everything that you can and can be transformed through in those times. And so, yes, it's going to push you past your limits and then some, but it's really for the best. So don't be too scared, and we'll check in throughout the year. I'm going to do an extended where I'm going to draw some cards. I'm going to get a few here just to give you guys a little more indication on what it's going to impact. But after that, I'm going to draw, let's say, 4 cards. 1 plus 3 is 4. And we're going to go into an extended reading of how it's going to impact your year a little more detailed. So bear with me here. It is possible that you will see, friendships fan out, relationships drift away, things like that, death, um, whatever you want to take that as. So really don't be too worried about it. It's necessary change. I think you'll have perspective once it does happen, or once it really kicks into motion, that like, oh, this has been coming for a while. I just have been sitting on it for so long and just so complacent, and I just, I haven't dealt with it. And so the universe sometimes knows when you need to push, when you need a big push. It's like you're the kid at the very top of the slide and you're holding up the line, and everyone's getting pissed, and it's because you won't take your turn because you're afraid of just what could happen, or the thrill, the kind of uncontrollability of that adrenaline rush going through the slide, and you're like, ugh, I don't know about this, but also you can't go back down the stairs because it's blocked with people. So there comes a time where you just have to show up and take that leap, or whatever it is. Ooh. Okay, so 2 cards here. Very different energies, but they do come together. So Cancers, I'm going to say this. I feel like I've said it before in later or earlier videos, but you guys have a knack for attracting the lover or the partner or the, whatever person that it makes you feel worse more than they do better. I know some Cancers in my personal life, and I can't help but roll my eyes sometimes, and it hurts because I feel like they're never going to change about it. Like, they're just accepting it for what it is, and I'm like, but you could be doing so much better. Okay, so for those Cancers out there that resonates with you, honestly, this is the time. You've got huge cards here: death, transformation, the Lover's card, and in between there is this heartache, this pain that you guys wear on your sleeve everywhere you go, this sadness, and it's usually tied to your past. Maybe there have been romantic partners in the past that just either didn't take you seriously, were manipulative. It could be current ones, and they put you in a frame of mind that is very toxic, and it keeps you from really seeing yourself. Sorry, I don't know why Siri got activated. And so it's like, if they're manipulative, or if they just kind of prod you, and you don't know how to take whatever it is they have to say. Their words hit like daggers, and this could speak to how you talk to other people too, because we all know that Cancers can be pretty tough, pretty cold, but once you really get to know them and you're intimate with them, you see how much love they have to offer. So this is what is really kind of, because if you look at it this way, I'm going to turn the camera down so you guys see it. Let's see. So this is what is coming. So you've got death, and then the Three of Swords and the Lovers. So you see that in between this huge, great things, look at this as a positive card because death is a positive card. We're not going to make it out to be tragic. You have this personal tragedy happening, but this is you. You know, this is how you choose to perceive things, how you continually hurt yourself. So there's a lot of thoughts and words that you tell yourself, or you know, you cling to these past things that have hurt you, that have affected you, and you have not been able to move through them. I mean, look how deep those swords go. Like, you can't even think about taking one of them out because it's going to be so painful that you would rather just leave them in and constantly, you know, keep dripping blood wherever you go, as opposed to maybe it's time to cut off the limb itself. You know what I mean? It's like, don't let something continually damage you, your vital system. It's like almost like a rot of some kind. It's like, you know, when there's an infection, you know, you have to attack it. You have to either kill it with antibiotics, you know, which is health. So there's a lot of sickness involved with this card, because there's a mentality here that is actually affecting you on a physical level, and could even be causing heart problems because of it. So it's very important for you guys to look at your health a lot more detailed in 2020. That's You're going to have some stuff that deals with sickness in general, and how it is that you can get better in a big way, how you don't carry this stuff around with you, and how you can choose to move through it. And I think, you know, the lovers here could possibly really help you with that. Let me see how positive this card is. Okay, so Page of Swords reversed. Um, hmm. So Page of Swords is kind of like a scholar, like on the search for knowledge. Somebody you guys could even meet through school. Somebody that has a lot of thoughts and ideas and concepts, but is just, they find it difficult to actually bring them to fruition, and you know, kind of like make it like compensation, or like, you know, it's just a dreamer, kind of like a philosopher kind of type that is moving throughout your life, that you guys know, and that you know, maybe is just not the most successful person. Maybe they have this sensibility that they're kind of lost, but you're always so surprised at how many insights they have. um, and so here it just looks like the dreams and the philosophies and the thoughts don't aren't really serving the relationship. It's almost like, if we're talking about the lovers being tied to this, like less would be more. You know, it's like the more you get inside your head, the more debilitating the relationship is going to be. I think that's true about most relationships. But this is really going to kind of expand your mind, but in an unhealthy way. I don't think you guys are ready for expansion because you're in a time of transformation. So you're actually thinning out. So be careful about taking things on in 2020, because it's not really the time to take a lot of new things on without shedding the old. You know, it's kind of like an ebb and flow. It's a yin and yang. So you guys should see something leave and something come in. So if you just feel like it's weighing more to one side, then you need to evaluate, okay, well, was that an opportunity for me to push through that and to finally let it go and to heal from it? And I just completely ignored it. And now I have this other responsibility, or this other thing that's you know, distracting me in the meantime. So I would say Caution yourself around love. It's hard to say whether it's positive or not, but the two cards in between just kind of worry me because the Three of Swords and the Page of Swords in reverse just feel like it's just going to be a lot more than you can mentally handle in 2020. And so I would say try to do it alone for a change. I feel like Cancer is one of those signs that you're always, attract a mate or something. You don't really find a lot of solo Cancers, single. But I would say that, yeah, I mean, it could go either way. Let's see. I need one more, you guys. It's just really throwing me. Okay. Hmm. Now this looks pretty positive. So typically with the court cards, we see actual people, and we have a page, a knight, and a queen here. Um, so it could involve somebody that is very bossy, somebody that has a leadership sensibility that kind of takes the reins in the relationship, um, and somebody that is overtly promising love and stability in all of your wishes. It's just like you're almost getting too much in your head about it. It's like to really accept this person and this offer, you guys have to get rid of this. So it's like this is just going to continue to haunt you. That's the real focus here. It's like forget the other cards, but these two is what we need to work on. So I'm going to pull 4 cards, and we are going to look at your extended reading. If you want to unlock the extended video, there is details down below. It's going to be pretty easy to find the link, and it's just $5 to unlock the video, and it's going to give you more in-depth insight into how 2020 is going to play out in relation to the death card of transformation, in relation to the lovers. Yeah, so here we go. If you guys want to see those other cards and get some more insights, just follow the link. See you there.